Just Eff It. Hi, I'm Romy, an identity coach helping others who struggle with their sexual identity and families of queer youth find their path of understanding and acceptance.
And I'm Carla, a mom empowerment coach empowering moms to own their new identities and motherhood journeys.
And together we are the EFFing Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
Good morning, everyone. Look at if you're watching the YouTube video, we have our Just Eff It signs in neon pink. Yes, we've decided to use pink as our accent color, which is so not us.
Carla, can you just explain why we're using pink a little bit? Because pink would not normally be our color. Black for sure. Green, yes.
Lack of color is our
lack of color. So why are we now representing some hot pinks in our like images and in our sign? And why is this like our new color of 2024? Why are we pretty in pink, Carla?
Because the thing is, pink is the representation of women, even whether you like it or not, it is. Yeah. And so we thought, and it's a nice contrast with the black.
Yeah.
I'm actually like a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
And then when we come out with our merch, which will be soon.
Coming soon,
the hot pink accent, when we finally designed it that way, we were both like, this is it. This looks good.
Yeah, I have to say when we were designing it and then making these signs, there was something about being super like black and stoic, right? But also that pop, which is very much us, that when it was coming together, I was like, yeah, it's like this strong, we just have this Barbie year, right? I think we just had this like strong feminine year of Barbie and the pink, right? And a new representation to what that meant for all of us, right? Because
totally.
It was just like, that was like how I envisioned it. And then when we put it with our black and stuff, I was like, oh, this is so woman power and this is so us. And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't like pink, you will now if you like us.
Yeah.
But anyway, and also we have new mics. Our last episode was a little choppy and so was the one before. We're really sorry. We hope this one is better. We're testing it out. New levels, new devils, right?
That's right.
What happens when you move up.
That's right. Yeah. We are testing these out. Hopefully they sound good because I don't hear it as much, but Carla wants to just, throw herself off a balcony every time she hears a bad recording. So we're just hoping that this one comes in clear for you guys. But we are the EFFing Madres. And if you're tuning in, hopefully you're subscribed. Hopefully you're watching on YouTube and subscribed. Hopefully you're liking all of this. We are two best friends, two mamas, two Latinas who have known each other for many, many, many years and watched each other go through our adulthood definitely into motherhood for both of us. And then like from our 30s into our 40s and had an Eff It moment at the same time, had it ironically together when we started this podcast. And we've just been having a whole shit ton of Eff It moments since. And we interview mamas on here that have Eff It moments that inspire us and inspire you, with them just having the courage to say Eff It and doing massive things as a mother, either mentally or physically. It really is it's a mind shift, I would say. The Eff It is a mind shift. It's our brain going, fuck this, and actually moving with it,
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Yep. And we hope that it just motivates other moms out there to take that first step, because that is always the most terrifying step to take. But once you do, it just starts to roll. Not always really nicely and smoothly, but you're moving forward.
It's like domino. It's the domino effect. But sometimes it just gets fucking knocked over, right? You got to reset it. You got to reset your dominoes and try again. And hopefully it does that smooth little like effect that you want it to.
Yeah.
But we're parents and kids knock shit over. And so that is the groove that we are all moving with right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is it. So Romy, who do we have on today?
Yes. So we have Penny on, and Penny is a chef that I met when I was working in LA. I was working for Chef Works, and I remember meeting her, and she was this like really force of a woman, right? Like just had such a presence and so strong. And I know you and I are always really attracted to that type of like energy. So I kind of never forgot her. And we were Facebook friends, and I was like watching some of her page the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to see what she's doing. I know she has an effort moment, and reached out to her, and she is going to come on and share about, getting a divorce back about 20 years ago when it wasn't as normalized as it is now. I think we are in a community, which is rad, where us women are making it like it's cool. If you want to do that, that's cool. We support you. But we have to remember it wasn't always like that. At one point, for you to step up and say, I'm leaving my partner, people had opinions, and it wasn't as like, we weren't in a world that was so free of that judgment, right? I think we're still working on the less judgment to other women and what they do with their children and their spouses.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what that was like for her. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure she dealt with a lot of shit, but she's obviously on the other end of it. And so
Yeah.
sounds like a big effort moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to catch up. We will see.
All right. Well, we're gonna bring her in just a minute.
Have Penny, and we are just gonna dive right in. So Carla, let's go.
All right, Penny, thank you for being here.
Thank
and
you.
The first question that we have is, what brought about this mental shift to make you say F it and start this F it moment journey?
So I got married at a very young age the first time. Like I met my ex-husband when I was 19, married by 20, first kid out 22. Like it just was really, really all really fast. And my ex-husband and I have a big age difference. 14 years is a lot. And at the time that I got married, now I'm going to be 52. So imagine 30 years ago, right? Getting a divorce was such a taboo. And especially in the Persian Jewish culture and community, it just didn't happen, right? So, you were called all kinds of names and your friends all kind of abandoned you. But I, with all due respect to my ex-husband, over the years realized that it's just not working because we're on two different paths, we're on two different journeys. And I wanted my kids to see, I have two daughters, and at the time they were 5 and 2, but I wanted them to see that you can be in a healthy marriage and be in a healthy relationship. And if something doesn't work, it's okay to step away from it. And despite what backlash I would have gotten from, everyone around me, I said, effing, I'm out. This is not going to work for me. And I'm going to go just, find my core and do what I got to do.
But how many years were you married before you got divorced?
I was married 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I was married for 10 years, and it wasn't that I didn't love my ex-husband, and it wasn't that, things weren't good sometimes, but when other parties are brought into a relationship and you can, forgive it once, you can forgive it twice, you can't keep forgiving it. And I remember, telling my grandmother, may she rest in peace. She's like, why are you doing this? This is not good. You have two daughters to think about, and how are they going to be looked at? And I said, listen, I can't accept this behavior for me. And what kind of lesson is it for them?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, what, you think you're the first one? In my day, you just turn around and look the other way. And I said, well, thank God it's not your day.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say, Penny, is you know what? It's not that day anymore. And it takes those effort moments to make those days not those days anymore, right? If somebody doesn't eventually stop that, then it never stops. And I think we talk about this so much on here, is it is so much better to show our daughters. I mean, we're moms of daughters, right? Like to show our daughters not to accept that, as opposed to, hey, we're married, it's all patched together because this is what we're supposed to show you. Or do we choose to show our daughters right now, hey, I'm going to love me, I'm going to take care of me. That's the biggest lesson I can give you when you go and choose your partners in your life.
Absolutely. And, and my other effing moment was, or effort moment was when, when I did walk away, and the hold over me was, well, you're not going to get the finances and you're not going to be able to touch the money. And I said, you know what? I don't want any of it. And that's where I left the medical practice. I was practicing acupuncture and oriental medicine for 12 years. I sold that. I left that and went off and opened up a bunch of pizza restaurants. And that's really how I got on television. I completely changed my life path.
Yeah, I want to hear about that, because this is the next question into that, because you have such a beautiful story from there to where you are now, right? And that's what this is all about, is having this new EFFing moment. What sort of opportunities opened up for you? And it looks like opening these pizza places, going into this culinary world. What did that look like for you? How did that come about?
So I, again, having been married really young and coming from a Persian strict culture, Persian Jews, where you couldn't date, you couldn't have a boyfriend. It was all had to be like marriage based. I all of a sudden found myself at 30 years old, loving life, living my best life, traveling and just doing things I've never done. Like it just was amazing. Like I went to Europe for the first time with girlfriends, and I was in Miami with friends and came about Pizza Rustica. And I thought, wow, this is the best damn pizza I've ever had in my life, and loved it so much. And came back and told a girlfriend, I said, you know what, do you want to go into the pizza business? We can just like do this. And she thought I was crazy. My parents thought I was crazy. They're like, what do you know about the pizza world? And that's what it really opened up, was this opportunity to just get out there, see the world, and think outside the box. Like I was in medicine. I didn't go back into medicine. I wanted to do something more artistic, and food is definitely artistic. And it just was fun to just open up these places and be in front of people and instant gratification. That's what I call it.
I mean, it's so inspiring, because we are so scared to do things that we don't know. Carla and I always talk about imposter syndrome, right? That we as women, as people, we struggle with, like, am I an imposter? Can I do this? I don't know this. And you went for it. And you did end up on television with this in your culinary world, right? This has become what you're known for. Will you share just a little bit about like what that has looked like for the listeners as well? Because you walked into something not knowing it, but I would love for them to hear how successful that has been for you.
Right. So I really believe in the theory of fake it till you make it, right? I did not go to culinary school. I just, decided I wanted to open up these pizza places, and I did. And I learned what I could and kind of attracted this following of people that wanted to come and just see me at the restaurant being a complete idiot. I was very open to opportunities. And I would have, I had all these big screens around the restaurant. I was always playing Food Network. And every time someone who came up to the counter would ask, oh, what are you doing next? What's the next project? And I would say, oh my God, I'm going to be on Food Network. No, nothing, no opportunity, nothing. Well, guess what? If you're in Beverly Hills and when people ask you, what are you doing next? And you keep saying, I'm going to be on television, or I'm going to do this, or hey, I just got this part. It could be like a stupid 2-liner.
Yeah.
And I remember I was cast as as an extra in Jim Carrey's Yes. Remember, like he had this movie, Yes. And I was cast as an extra, and I was like, oh yeah, I just did a film with Jim Carrey. Like I had 0 lines. I was an extra. Okay. But because of the personality, the casting people dragged me out of the restaurant to go be an extra. Anyway, so I kind of took all that and kept saying it. And I was in the gym one time, and at the gym, I said, this is what I'm doing. So the woman turns around to me. She goes, that's awesome. I discovered Giada and Bobby Flay. I said, wow, that's amazing. Are you repping them now? She's like, no, I'm looking for new talent. Do you have anyone repping you? I said, I do not. She goes, I'd love to train you. I'd love to turn you into like the Persian Giada. I said, great, let's do it. And that was it. Honestly, like I just got together with this woman, and I kept trying out for anything that was food competition related. Honestly, anything. And I even got cast to do like a thing of Apprentice with Donald Trump, which was crazy for me. And from there, I just realized I love this television, like just this attention, and I can play to the cameras. If you can play to the cameras and not be afraid to just let yourself go, you'll do great.
I think, Penny, though, most importantly for women to hear, and I love that you were in the movie Yes with Jim Carrey, but that yes attitude, the year of yes, you just saying yes,
Yes.
and yes and yes after walking away from this marriage, having your family, judging you for this religious like thing that you're doing that's against them, which isn't against them, right? Which is ultimately your choice. And then watching you blossom into who
Right.
you are. When you let go of being imprisoned by what other people think of you, it is when you are free to actually figure out who the hell you are, right?
That's
and
when you grow.
Yeah, that's where you grow. And look at what you did. You opened up a pizza place. You faked it till you maked it. You ended up on TV. You're this famous chef, right? You're
right.
Remarried, you have your family. Your life didn't go in the direction everybody told you it would go in, but without fucking trying, you would never be here.
If you don't try, if you don't put yourself in the right settings and the right opportunities, it's just not going to happen. I mean, I, for 8 years dated, caca dating, right? We've all done it. Caca dating in LA, which is, crazy, but my daughter is now caca dating at 27. And I tell her all the time, unless you put yourself in the right positions, you're not going to meet the right people. And you're right. Yes, I, met the love of my life. I've been happily married for 13 years, and we have a blended family with 5 kids, which is crazy. But, I'm a Persian Jew. He's, American, part Russian. I mean, it's awesome. And we have this crazy household. And I still haven't stopped, from the TV world, it got me into consulting on the culinary side. Again, I never went to culinary school, but my experience and my, even if it's like fake it till you make it, my own confidence in my own shit is what got me through. And I learned a lot. Like every restaurant I stepped into to like consult on, I learned from.
I'm going to have Carla ask this next question because that goes into that. Yeah.
Yes. But I was going to say, like, this is why EFFing moments are so important, though, because they start out and then it just becomes a snowball. Like, it just, you start picking up, you start opening up your eyes to new opportunities. You start like actually being able to see outside of this little box that you were in. And that's why taking that first step is really hard and it's really scary, but look what it did for you. Like it completely changed the course of your life to a place that is way better than it was. So
absolutely.
That's why we want like to have these stories out there so that more moms that are like at that brink of wanting to have it, just do it because of these stories, because of people like you.
I'll tell you, like I do a lot of speaking engagements for groups of women, right? Because I'm all about female empowerment and finding who you are and giving yourself that strength. And it's so hard. It's not easy. Okay. It's not easy and it's not for everybody. But when I go to do these speaking engagements, I tell everybody, okay, in the morning, every morning before I leave the house, I put 2 characters in my back pocket. Now you can decide who these characters are going to be for the day based on what you have to deal with. So there are days that I am Khaleesi, mother dragon, right?
Uh-huh.
In one pocket, and I could be Lucille Ball in the other pocket. I can walk around with Michelle Obama and Cookie Lion. I can walk. I mean, so just, I don't like to like walk around with Angelina Jolie very often because, I don't find Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie in my pocket very often, but you get where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
So it's like draw strength from these people and like really just kind of be like, oh, I'm going to go into a Michelle Obama moment, or I'm, this is where I'm going to step out and just be that mother dragon. You're coming for my kids. You better watch out, or I'm going to be the most badass business person there is, and go out there with that personality. So it takes a lot of work, but unless you try, you will never know.
Amen. That's why we say fuck it. And then we were like fine with saying that, because you have to, at some point, that shift has to happen.
But I was just going to say, if you yourself don't feel the confidence, putting on a different character helps just kind of put on that persona.
Absolutely.
At least at first. So, but my next question is, what positive or negative things have you learned about yourself since starting this journey?
So one of the biggest things is that when you step out and you stand tall, right? When you step out and you stand tall, you become intimidating and threatening to a lot of men. Okay. So if you're single, that's going to be a major problem for you in like your dating life. And you have to just hold on to that, because the right person is not going to be afraid. Okay. Again, this is what I say to my daughters. The right person is going to just accept you, adore you, and put you on a pedestal. And the second thing I realize is that you're going to get a lot of hate. Right? I've dealt with a lot of hate, whether it was coming from my own community who expected me, like you said, to fail, to like curl up in a ball in a corner because my ex-husband divorced me. Or it's just, hate, like, God, like, how did you get on TV? Or how did that happen? Or how did you pick up the pieces? Or why do you look so good? Or, I just dropped 40 pounds. And my nutritionist and my doctor was like, can we please post it? Can you please post it? And I was like, no, I don't want to post it. Why? Because I get so much like hate, which is crazy. And then my husband's like, when have you been afraid of anyone saying anything about you? Fuck that.
Yeah.
So, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's post it. Let's celebrate it. And, so you do get, men are treated very differently than women, especially in the public. So,
oh yeah. And I've dealt with that personally through my life on TV and putting my public life out there, Penny. And I posted this week because, I'm doing life coaching, and I got this horrible submission from somebody trashing me about the journey I'm on. And it's like what you said, it's one of those things where it's like, I have to say, fuck it and keep going. We can't let those people stop us. We can't let the opinions of others and what they think we're capable of stop us. And it's when we care too much that holds us from like doing what we want to do. I think it's important to remember, the more you put yourself out there, people are going to have opinions about what you do. The more we put our podcast out there, someone's going to have an opinion. That can't stop you.
No, it can't. And you have to you are the master of your universe. Now, how you choose to take that journey or who you choose to surround yourself with is completely out of you. The biggest asset that you have is your time. So do you want to, spend that time worrying about what people are saying, being in a shitty marriage, being in a shitty relationship, being with shitty friends? Or do you want to create that universe, and manifest that universe that you want to be a part of? I mean, I
100%
wanted to be a part of the Housewives forever and ever, until I started working with Lisa Vanderpump.
Yeah.
And again, you talk about opportunities. Like, this is another crazy opportunity. I partnered up with her and we did Pump, and then we did Tom Tom. And I remember, did you come by one time?
I came in when you had Pump, when you opened Pump.
Yes. When we
West
opened
Hollywood.
Pump.
Yep. And then it blew
with
up.
Rosie.
Yep, with Rose.
Right.
Yep.
And from there to just, film Vanderpump. And then this season airing January 30th, I'm like a big part of Vanderpump Rules season 11, because I partnered up with the two girls, with Ariana and Katie, on Something About Her, and all that drama and helping these girls who are awesome to really, build something for themselves. So
yeah, when you've done it for yourself, you want to offer that to other people. Penny, like when you've done it for you, you want to share that, right? With your daughters or with other women that are going through that. When you've been in the public eye and you know how to like take that hate and keep finding yourself, you want to share that with the other people that are going through that. That was like when we started the podcast, we went through this different moment and we were like, we want to share this with everyone. Like others are going through this. My next question would be then like, how were you able to work through like the negative talk and the self-doubt when that would arise? So you're saying you would just like be able to handle all that kind of hate or that criticism, but how did you get through that?
You know, you kind of have to block it out and just believe in yourself, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I mean, here I am, an Iranian Jew with no culinary experience, like zero. And all of a sudden I plant myself on the Food Network. Like, how does that, in what world does that happen? But you got to just keep pushing forward. And I took a lot of hate when I did do the show. And, you know, there was all these Facebook groups, you know, like that would get together to watch me get kicked off, which was insane. I mean, the networks loved it because they were like, the fact that people are actually gathering to watch you get kicked off, that's just crazy.
What would be your advice to somebody like in that? How did you not let it get to you?
Well, it's different when it's stuff that, you know, the attacks would come online. You know how that goes, right? In comments or in posts or stuff like that. So when you're talking about stuff that's written by people who don't even know you, you can't let that bother you, right? But if it's someone who says that they're your friend and they're, you know, not being nice or being negative or, you know, a Debbie Downer or whatever, you really have to make it a point to put a bubble around yourself and get those people out. You have to choose who you want to let in and how you want to, you know, cultivate your space.
Yes.
You're also the perfect example of what you manifest in your saying everything that you want out loud. I mean, the fact that you were telling people that you were going to be on the Food Network and you weren't, but then look what happened. Like, you are the perfect example of like, to say these things out loud if you want them and if you believe in yourself. Like, look what happened.
Absolutely. I 100% believe that.
All weekend, you guys, we were listening on our road trip to Lewis Howes, you know, like my favorite podcaster. And the whole weekend I was like, that's my best friend. We're going to have dinner. That's my best friend. We're such good friends. And it became a joke at the end of the weekend. And my partner was like, oh yeah, that's your best friend. And I was like, yeah, that's my homie. And I'm just going to keep saying it till like, that's my homie.
That, you know what, I'll give you a real good example of how to create stuff like that. My husband and I were having dinner in the Palisades at the Palisades Village, which is owned by Rick Caruso, right? And this is before the mayor race. And I am a huge fan of the Grove, of all his projects, because they're so festive and they're so successful. And so my husband and I are having dinner over there. Table next to us is Rick Caruso, with a bunch of his guy friends. And I've had a drink and I said to my husband, you know what, I'm going to go over and say hello. My husband is a very conservative attorney. And he's like, no, you can't do that. You know, that's crazy. You're going to disrupt him. I said, no, this is an opportunity. I want to be in one of these spaces. Yeah. I want to be friends with Rick Caruso. So I walked over to the table and I said, Mr. Caruso, you know, I'm such a huge fan and I'm a big TV personality. One of the guys at the table jumped up from his chair. He goes, oh my God, you're the Middle Eastern mama from Food Network. My daughter and my wife are obsessed with you. Can we FaceTime them? So just between that, Rick Caruso was like, who the hell are you? I love this. Guess what? I have him on speed dial. He's offered me spaces to go in before the mayor race. I threw him a big party to get him supporters in my community and like bring people together for him. So you can't be afraid. What would have happened? He would have said, right. He would have said, nice to meet you. Thanks. Bye. Go away. Right.
Penny, I have the
Yeah.
same attitude as you. I'm very much, and Carla knows that about me. Like when it comes to jumping into things, I'm like, oh, I am what it is. I'll figure it out. I'll go with it. And Carla and I
Yeah.
struggle with this in our relationship, but Carla's like, right, we're moving towards more of this movement together, even because we're in a marriage with this business together. But it's, well, I mean, life is too short to not just fucking do these things and see what happens. Cause like you said, the worst thing that can happen is somebody doesn't like you or turns their back on you. But what happens if
Right.
you don't do it and they do love you, you know?
Right. Right. What
Yeah.
happens? You never know. So
You never know.
you never know. And I take those opportunities and I go over and I shake those hands and I say those hellos and I
Yeah.
ask for what I want. And if
Amen.
they say no, that's fine.
Yeah.
I had a great concept because I was like, you know what? No one's gone up against James Beard or Michelin or, no one's really like giving them a run for their money, and who the hell's picking these restaurants? And so I wrote out this idea and I just, I went to the right people and made the right connections, and now it's going to be on Hulu. And it's just,
I love
you
it.
have to, you got to have balls.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Penny, I gotta get me some balls like you, because listening to you say all these things, I'm like, dang, she's done so many things just because she's just like, who cares? What if this happens? What if they say no? Who gives a shit? And so
Right.
I'm
But
definitely more of one of those in my head type of people. And just listening to you hear that or say that, it's just like, fuck, yeah, what's the worst that could happen? It's really not that bad. We make it out to be so
No.
much worse than it's actually going to be.
No,
So,
Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, and it's not like I've had a lot of tragedy in my life over the past 5 years. And, I lost my sister, my only sister at 39, 5 years ago. She had a heart attack and passed away. And so, I took that pain and wrote my cookbook and
Mhm.
wrote about my journey, as a sister to her, and just, channeled my pain a different way. And,
Mhm.
I have trauma. I deal with, traumatic things that have happened. I have kids that have been sick and I've had to deal with it and still dealing with it. I've had my own stuff. Recently I had an explant. I removed my breast implants, which if you have them, I recommend explants because there's a lot that happens when you have implants in your body. Am I going to sit here and be like, oh my God, no. I decided, okay, you know what? I want to get involved in charity. I want to help people who, are going through the health stuff my sister did, and sit on boards and give back and do what I can. And so,
Well, I think that that's like the part that I love about you, Penny, too. And I appreciate you bringing this up, that like life is still happening, right? You're still moving forward. You're still using your strength, your power, your voice, you're channeling it in different ways. And that's why we have moms on here as well, because this is a space for moms. Because as women, as moms, we say, all this is happening, right? All this is happening. Life is happening. We can't do these things.
right.
Your life is happening, but that doesn't mean you stop living, right? It doesn't mean that you're not going through your things with your family, your
Right.
health, your children's health, your family's health, which we all, but we have to keep living and we have to channel that and we have to keep moving. And I think that's why we wanted to be like most moms, stop.
yeah.
They stop.
I'm so curious to know before this effort moment that started all of this, were you this way or were you a totally different person? Because it sounds like that effort moment has built up a power in you, so it's gotten you where you are. But have you always been this way?
I was definitely ambitious in high school. And I remember, I did college and high school together. I was in a rush. I wanted to make a lot of money, and I had all these ideas, and my father wanted me to become a doctor. And, I wasn't sure that that's what I wanted to do. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to waste my time just let me finish high school and then go to college. And, Persians, we're not sending our kids away to school. You go to school here. There's USC, there's UCLA. You figure it out. That was the extent of it. But I remember my parents for my 16th birthday bought me a Porsche 944, right? And they're like, all right, you've got this car. It's like, yeah, this is awesome. They're like, you better figure out how you're going to pay for it. I was like, me pay for it? Why did you even get it? They're like, we want you to figure out how you would pay for it. And I swear to God, my mom tells me this all the time. She's like, I couldn't believe that you actually figured it out. So I had a friend that was in the t-shirt printing business in downtown LA. Okay. So he would print these like sets of t-shirt and shorts that were very hot back in the 80s, right? And very cute. So I would buy the set from him for $5 and I would sell it for 15. So me and my Porsche would go downtown LA, load up my truck with t-shirts and these sets, come back to college, come back to high school. Out of the back of my truck, I was selling t-shirts to pay for my Porsche.
So Penny, you have always been somebody who fucking figures it out, right? Like you
Figures
just
it
have
out.
that way of like, you know what? I'll pay for the Porsche. You know what? I'm going to get the divorce. I don't need your money. I can figure it out on my own. I will
Exactly.
figure out how to do this. I love it.
But at the end of it all, it's because you believe in yourself. That's what it is. And I think
Yes.
that's what a lot of moms, they can get to a point where they stop believing that they're capable of doing a lot of the things that they used to be able to do because they've kind of settled for what life is. But you have always believed that you're capable. And that's the hard part for a lot of people. I mean, it's a hard part for me a lot of the times.
I think if moms understand that you are more than just the mother of your children, you are more than just someone's wife, you are more than just someone's daughter.
Yes.
You are you.
Yes.
And you have to feel good and be confident and do what feels like, like, okay, I feel complete doing this.
Yeah. Oh, Penny, those words, I'm just telling you, those words were like, they hit my heart right now because that's the reminder so often that I think all of us women need to hear, and hearing it from somebody like yourself, who is such an inspiration and doing all the things that like you want to do with your life, is we aren't just moms or wives or any of that. And Carla and I in our last year have really struggled with like, who the fuck are we again? We had these kids, we had these babies, we became these moms. Who the fuck are we? And that was how our EFFing moment started with this. And so often we find women, moms, just sitting there asking them that question. So when you get it and when you figure it out and you feel it, that's what we want to say is like, go with it. Like,
right. Because if you see, and if you talk to a lot of the moms, especially the younger moms that are dealing with the younger kids, some of them are so angry and frustrated and yelling at the kids. And it's not because the kid is doing anything, but it's almost like they feel like,
Carla,
fuck you. I gave up my life to become a fucking mother.
Yeah.
I hate to admit this, but yes, that is where the frustration, it's the resistance of what the situation is. Like, this is your life now. You need to surrender. But if you resist,
no, you do not
surrender to the fact that this is like, there's a kid in your life now. So you have to figure out how your life evolves from this point out. It's trying not to go against like trying to control your kid and all that stuff. Just go with the flow. And that's where when you said like you get frustrated and all, that's where it's not the kid really. It's the fact that I'm like trying to battle that out in my own head. You know what I mean?
But you're also like, oh, if I make soup from scratch, I'm the good mom. If I'm making your vegetables, pureed and, Caca. This is just caca. It's a lot of caca. And guess what? You know, when they get older, they're gonna fucking eat McDonald's and Cheetos, and they're gonna order a chamoy pickle, which is like loaded with like preservatives, and fucking making these TikTok videos, wrapping it with all kinds of shit. And here you're like, but I pureed your vegetables as a child.
Penny, I think the greatest thing you're saying too, and like honestly, and I like thank you, is all the stress we put in, and I do it, we all do it, right? That's our generation right now of like how we're gonna leave our mark on our children. Most importantly, and I think all of us know this from our own experience with our own mothers, show them a happy, loving to themselves mother that takes care of their own like self. And that'll be the greatest gift you can ever give your kids, as opposed to the pureed applesauce in the freezer that they will not remember, as opposed to them seeing us live our truth and just be fucking happy. Like, I didn't see that growing up. It took me 42 years. It's still taking me to try and find that. So that is what we're trying to focus on, Carla, right? Like we want our kids to see us,
that we're going after something.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's no reason. And I say this to a lot of moms. Why aren't you making plans to go out with your friends?
Oh, yeah.
Why aren't you going to dinners? Why aren't you? Your kid needs to see that I have a life. I'm going out. I have a life. I'm going to travel. I have a life. I'm going to buy this for myself. I'm not going to buy it for you. I'm going to buy it for myself. You know, because when they see that part of it, they feel good knowing that you're good. And you've got this and you can take care. And guess what? You're going to be less resentful that you had these kids because, you know, or women who are like, I can't afford, you know, someone to watch my kid. If you get a fucking job, you can afford to watch someone watch your kid, because even if you're working for someone to just watch your kid, that gives you a purpose outside to deal with yourself and be a person on your own. So when you come home, you're not an ass to this poor kid.
Yes. Yeah. That is
so
like, I was just going to, that wraps it up, because I was just going to ask you the question, but I'll still ask it to you. But I think everything you just said, right, Carla, is almost like, what would you tell somebody? That is like the message right there was exactly what I would assume you would tell a woman, right, going through this. So if there's any last thing, if there's any last sentence you would say, like, what would be the message that you would want to empower to your children? What is your message to them?
Anything a man can do, you can do better.
Yes.
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 And I mean that across the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Across the board.
So.
that like made my heart flutter, because I've always, I'm trying to instill that in my daughter. So
How old are your daughters? How old is your daughter?
She's 2 years and 8 months.
My daughter's 7.5.
But like every day she stands in the mirror and she says, I'm strong, I'm brave, I'm capable, and I'm going to do all the things I set my mind to because I believe in myself. That is, we do it together every morning. That is what she says to herself.
And this is the thing too, though, Carla, when we say this to our kids every day, because we do these affirmations, we have to actually be doing it.
Yeah.
So exactly. They see us do it. Not just the words we tell them to say. They need to see us fucking doing that ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right. I do it with her. Yeah. And the more I do it with her, the more I do start feeling better.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Just so you guys know, like, and I say this to a lot of people, is when you get up in the morning, put yourself together. Don't fucking run around the house in sweats and your hair tied up and no makeup and looking like shit.
I'm in sweats with my hair tied up, I'm all,
You know, because if you keep yourself together and like looking good and dressing up and whatever, guess what? Your daughters are going to just be like, okay, this is how my mother do it. She's looking up to you, Carla. Your daughter is looking at everything you're doing. I know. Everything you do.
I mean, that's what I did today. I went to go work at a vintage store to get emails done. And I literally woke up, you guys. I put my whole outfit on. I put my face on. I wasn't seeing anyone. I sat in a vintage coffee store and I worked today. You would have thought I was going somewhere. And I just needed to feel good. I needed to get out and I needed to feel me.
It gives you a confidence as well when you look good. You feel good. So
absolutely. That Penny, I just cannot thank you enough for coming on. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you,
Like,
guys.
I'm just so grateful this worked out. It's been so many years. I was
I know.
a young kid in LA. I'm here now, a mom. I've followed you through Facebook. I've seen your success, and just we really appreciate you so much. If there's any places here to share with all our audience that doesn't already know where you are, which they probably do, would you please share where they can find you?
Instagram is the best place, and you can pick up my book. It's called It's My Time, THYME, on Amazon.
Ooh, I love it.
I know what we're reading.
I'm such a fan of that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is where we close it out, and each of us says, just F it. So, Penny, why don't you go first?
Just F it.
Just F it.